be able to.
After all that dialogue, nobody answered the question. Is how much do we pay for these trailers to release these trailers? And it comes down to a simple cost-benefit relationship. Is it cost-effective to lease them?
700,000 divided by 60. Figure it out. Whatever it comes.
That would be fair. Mr. Seidler.
Through the chair. My question before, I don't think it was answered. When the money from 192 that we are allowed to take for the trailers, is that strictly for trailers? If we don't use it, does it go back to the state? Or
Strictly for trailers.
Okay, one more thing. In the contract, I believe, I don't remember where it is now, but it seems like that the cost that we pay for the rooms that we rent from the schools is about $100 a month, and the cost that we pay for trailers is about $700 a month. Is there any real estate analysis that we did that would show why a trailer would be 7 times the amount of a brick and mortar building? Thirdly, has there been any bids? Has there been any research to see if we can get this a little cheaper? Or if, let's say, we can tell the non-publics themselves that if you guys go ahead and buy these trailers, you can get the rent and leave us out of it, and we'll pay you the rent instead of paying $100 for a room. I mean, why would any school want to give us a room? They should go buy a trailer and charge us $700 a month for rent for the trailers. And I just want to confirm that the money that comes over Title I is actually going to come off of education.
Well, actually, I've said it now 4 times. I'll say it the 5th. In fact, in Title I, sir, any monies paid to schools to use their property and any monies paid for trailers do come off the top, and that does affect instructional dollars. So let us be very clear, for Title I, that money does affect...
I have one more thing. In the contract, page 2, item 6, should the board or its sub-leasee decide not to use a particular facility, Catapult will remove or dispose of the facility, and to the extent permitted by law, the board will pay a removal fee as set forth in Exhibit A. So does that mean that we are going to rent now all 60, and if any school chooses not to use it, yeah, we won't have to pay the cost to rent it, but we're going to have to pay to remove it?
Right. Through the chair, I have another
Why are we
question.
leasing it through?
Through the chair, I have another question.
While you're getting your answer to that question.
No, I can answer it right now. Even in the past when Catapult was the sole provider, and in my 3 years here, I've never heard of a situation where a trailer was pulled out. But my understanding, having spoken to senior management at Catapult, had that happened, even in the past, yes, we would have been responsible for paying for that because we are the cognizant agency. We are the local educational agency.
Did we pay to bring the trailers in? Or did actually Catapult have to pay for something?
Catapult lays out, as a third-party provider, the way it works, Catapult lays out that money.
For the trailer?
They're amortizing it over a certain number of years so that what we're able to get from the state, in other words, we can't get from the state or even from the...
Mr. Finger, who paid to bring the trailers?
I answered it 3 times already. Catapult did.
So why do we have to pay to remove them?
In fact, in the
Because
proposed...
we are responsible as the LEA. It's their trailer. We're using it for non-public schools.
Let me make it clear. To quote Mr. Fink, who was at, I'm misquoting, I hope not. We have an obligation for Title I, whether it's liked or not, it is the law, to provide space for children to receive Title I services who are non-public. You do not have to. I'll say it as far as I understand it. I'm looking, I try to bring as much as I can here, because if there were questions on this, I would have gotten them in advance, but that's fine. The question here is, and Mr. Fink and Mr. Seidler, you were both at that meeting. I have a transcript of that meeting. Since where I go, I bring a court reporter. In fact, you could do the Title I services if you'd like. You could do it, as you said, Mr. Fink, at Clark School. But, oh, you said that? Okay, but just so you're clear, it would have to be after school because it couldn't affect the public school, and you would be required to pay for transportation of those children there. I'm not saying you should do that.
Through the chair, I was at that meeting and I have a question about that meeting. When we were discussing multi-vendor providers for the special education, we specifically, and I know there's a representative here today from Catapult, we specifically asked him at the time if he would give a fair rate to rent the trailers if we have other providers besides Catapult. So my question is twofold. Number one, he answered yes. Number two, my question is why at that time was nobody notified that we were paying rent all along for these trailers over the years, even when they were the only provider? Why wouldn't that have been told to the board at the time when we asked that question? And is this considered a fair rental agreement as according to his commitment at that previous meeting, which I know there's a transcript of?
Through the chair, if I may respond, actually, and again, I saw this form for the first time this year. For 192, there's a separate form that is completed by the district, by the VA's office, in coordination with Napier. That money has to be approved by the state to get that 192 money that covers the 192 trailers. They and only they can approve that. It is sent, I believe it's sent in the fall. I may have found it's sent in the fall. I believe it's called the fall report. That money for annual data survey is called, and that has to be approved specifically by the state for 192. As far as Title I, and the credit to the board, this year any rentals paid to schools will no longer be directly through the school and the provider, whoever it is, but actually that will be done through the district. I just need a second to find. We actually, the federal lawyer, and I'm finding it quickly, made a request of USDOE, because in fact, if you were there, and some of you were there, can we even pay the rent? And USDOE has responded that you can pay rent, but it has to be fair and reasonable, and there is an email regarding that from USDOE.
Who determines what's fair and reasonable?
Well, actually, one of the things which I can't seem to find the email, one of the questions is asked, does the non-public school charge anyone else to use their facilities? So that would be something interesting you would want to look at. That was one of the tests. It would also be market conditions, and if you recall, some of you were there, I suggested it be a real estate appraiser or someone like that, because I said it clearly, and some people on this board laughed. You, me, and Ms. Silva and Finger are not real estate appraisers, so we don't want to be in that position. We suggested that it be looked at by a real estate appraiser selected by the board.
Was it?
What? Well, again, as far as rents to the schools, when we're talking about, let's go through
What about the
this.
modular?
Well, I was just talking about rents to the schools. I'll do both. Rents to the schools, as of now, as far as I know, there is no lease with any school, non-public, and the board, which is the only way it can be off the top, for space. Should there be requests for that, we have not gotten them. All vendors were told to put that in writing. That we also have. We haven't gotten any. As far as the modulars, TCUs, trailers, as I suggested, 192 trailer use is determined by the state. As far as Title I, there is a very detailed breakdown that was provided to Jared Korn, who has reviewed that and says that is fair and marketable. As far as I know.
So how much of the $698,000 is from Title I?
You have a breakdown.
$698,000 is a combination of Title I and
Right, how much of it is from Title I?
should we take a little adjournment? I can
Yes.
go back to my office and go pull
I
that
think
out.
that would be good. Through the chair, I'd like to have a 2-minute adjournment so Mr. Finger can get the exact numbers for your edification. All in favor?
No.
Not enough yeses.
Now, you can't get it. You can't get it.
Not enough yeses.
You can't. Can you get it? We're continuing the meeting. There is no adjournment. Mr. Tom.
Yes, are there any additional?
Yes, there is. Deborah
We're going to do recognition of the public and then we'll go to that issue.
Leibowitz.
Thank you to me.
Oh, I have to say this, Dennis Leibowitz. It wasn't, no, it's Pastor. I'm sorry, Pastor, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay. He said it's okay or no?
He said yes. That's
Thank you.
Pastor
It's
Wilson.
very lovely to meet you. I'm a parent of a special needs child. I My son is 15 years old, and I've been residing in Lakewood for 10 years, and he has not attended school in Lakewood, and at no cost to Lakewood at any time. And now my child is attending school in Lakewood, New Jersey, and I received a letter from the Board of Education that to receive his